This episode of InCamp Podcast is brought to you by Wilderness Athlete, Fuel for the Rugged. I've used Wilderness Athlete products for years. I've tried other ones in between, but Wilderness Athlete is the one that I always keep coming back to because it's the one that flat out works. I've used their multivitamins, their fish oil, their probiotics, their pre-workout, their hydrate and recover. I've used it on elk hunts, in the deer woods, on the water, and everything in between. And honestly, it's the one that truly made a difference in my health and fitness. So if you're looking for a way to support the podcast, there is a link in my bio for Wilderness Athlete. But either way, in the words of Wilderness Athlete, keep up. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. You're listening to InCamp Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Hepler. Today on the show, I have a fairly elusive guest. We've tried to make this happen for a long time, but he's a good buddy of mine. He's a trail camera nut. He knows a thing or two about killing big whitetails, and he's super humble about it. In fact, you won't even find that many whitetail pictures on his Instagram. He has triple the amount of pictures that he posts. Cameron Derr himself. So we talk some stories, we talk some strategy, but this one is a whitetail episode, and I don't do very many full whitetail episodes because I get to the point where I just want to talk about everything under the sun. And even though whitetails are my favorite, every now and then you need something different to keep it all fresh. And when you come back to it, you're even better than you were before. So, fast announcement. I have aligned myself with Wilderness Athlete. I love Wilderness Athlete. I've used them for years. Check them out. If you're looking for a way to support the podcast, that's it. If you're also looking for a way to support the podcast, because I love you all, I've gotten to talk to lots of you. I've enjoyed communicating with you, sharing with you, all the things. If you would, please leave the podcast a 5-star rating and a review on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen. It really, really helps the show reach more ears. It helps me know what you're liking, and I so much appreciate it. So that would be great. Also, coming up in July, I am going to be starting Whitetail Briefs, the short episodes where we talk mostly strategy and stories, all whitetail content. I've got some good guests lined up, and I think you're going to enjoy it. We're going to do them every other week in July, and starting in September, they'll be September through January to talk whitetails every week. You'll get that content. So if you would, share this with a friend. I hope you're having a great summer. It's hot. I hope you're hanging trail cameras. I hope you're shooting your bow. I hope you're catching tons and tons of fish. This week, we're going bow fishing, and actually, this episode will already have been out. So maybe you already have seen the pictures. It's tons of fun. If you have any questions about bow fishing, shoot Bo Yoder, or AKA Richard Yoder, a message. Shoot me a message. Let me know how much. I'll tell you how much fun it is, and I'll tell you how to find out how to get into it. So anyway, this is InCamp Podcast. Enjoy this episode. This is the elusive, the all ever elusive Cameron Derr. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, Aaron? Thanks for having me on, man. Glad we could line this up.
Yeah, me too, man. I miss your face. I miss your sarcasm. I love hanging out with me some Cameron, you know?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're bonded, you know, like those hours and hours and all those ham and cheese soft pretzels that we eat at the Great American Outdoor Show, man. People just don't understand.
They don't. And every year you're there and you send me a picture of them. I'm like, damn you, Aaron.
I know. I had 2 of them this year.
2. Did you have any milkshakes?
Yeah, 2. I went twice. I had a ham and cheese and a milkshake both times.
You have to. You just have to.
Yeah, you have to. And the only thing I think about is Cameron every time. I'm like, Cameron would like this right now.
Yeah.
And Cameron would have gotten here faster because he knows all those secret tunnels.
It's just you're one track. Like when you're there and you're trying to get a ham and cheese pretzel, one track. And you got to find the best way there. I'm all about efficiency.
Yeah. And this is why I had you on the podcast, because we are going to talk about efficiency, and you're kind of like the gear guru. Like if I got a question about a piece of gear, most of the time I'm texting you like, hey, what's this about? Is it good? And you're like, nah, shit, don't get it. But I am excited because I haven't done any whitetail stuff this year. So we're going to talk a little bit of whitetails and not necessarily tactic. There'll be some stuff intertwined, but we're going to talk Cameron's version. But you've not been on InCamp yet. So do you want to tell the consumers who you are, what you do now, what you did, why I have you on?
Sure. Well, I don't know why you have me on. There's probably a bunch of other people you could be talking to. But
Nah.
I'm Cameron Derr. I'm the marketing manager for Hawk Optics. Previously, where Aaron and I got connected, I was the content director for Exodus trail cameras, Exodus outdoor gear. I produced the Whitetail Crib series on YouTube. Just spent a lot of time behind a camera, behind a computer editing for Exodus, and made a lot of connections like yourself. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm pretty much primarily a deer and turkey hunter. I've been on like one elk hunt that I just filmed. I didn't have a bow in my hand, and that was not a very good experience. Um, and yeah, that's kind of where I spend most of my time thinking about is deer and turkeys.
Why do you think, just from what you mentioned there, you've been on one elk hunt, and everybody, whenever they go west, they talk about how addicting it is and they can't wait to go back. And it's not that I've only been on one elk hunt too, and it's not that I didn't love I loved every minute of that trip, but I haven't gone back yet. Why do you think it is? Is there a reason that you haven't really gone back, or that it didn't bite you as much as the whitetail bug?
Well, I think the hunt itself for me was like we walked 100 miles in 10 days and never heard or saw an elk.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the hunt itself just wasn't good. But I haven't been fired up about it. Like Chad's like, dude, once you draw an elk tag, like he goes to far as say like I'll give up November to go hunt an elk in September. And I just don't, I can't relate because I think they're not as accessible for me. Like
Yeah.
I don't know where they hang out. I don't know what they like to eat. I don't know anything about like an elk, and I can look out my back window and study deer.
Yeah.
It's just an accessibility thing for me. Like I don't want to go on the hunt to just necessarily kill something. Like I want to figure it out. I want to know why it's doing what. One of the reasons I've always been able to kind of learn quickly is because my first question to seeing something is why.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do that with elk because I
Yeah.
can't just like go back in my out back and glass an elk. And even for you in PA, like you have access to elk, but it's not the same terrain and stuff as you're dealing with in Idaho or Colorado or anything like that. So
Yeah, it's
for me,
different.
that's what it is. I can't figure them out. I can't learn from them in person. I can study and read and watch YouTube all I want, but I just don't have any access to them. So they don't get me going.
Yeah. I don't like, sometimes that's like a reason why I don't even get fired up about out of state, is the accessibility thing. Like I like hunting out of state, and I think it's a lot of fun. We were just talking about hunting bears in Jersey, and this year I'm hoping to go do some bird hunting out of state with the dog and stuff like that. But it is kind of an accessibility issue. Like ultimately I like to eat the meat. That's the end game, right? And if I hunt at home, there is a way better chance of me killing like 7 deer in a year than there is uh for me going out of state and killing one,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I can put that puzzle together.
Yeah. I feel that. I think the draw for me to travel, is the area that I live and have access to around home. There's just so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and all of my travel is to like more remote places. And
Yeah.
although I can't look out my back window and study how a deer moves in Iowa, I can still
Mm-hmm.
study like a whitetail,
Right.
and figure them out. And I can use trail cameras a lot easier to figure out deer than I can an elk, I think. Um, so I still have the like I would almost give up hunting around home in November to go travel and hunt in November.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I still love hunting around home. I've been really successful in the last few years doing it, but
Yeah.
I feel like the more success I have around home, the lower my chances are getting. Like the odds are getting smaller to keep repeating that. So I need to keep exploring and learning new places, and going to places like Iowa and North Dakota and Kansas, and having those experiences that I just can't have at home with the same animal that I am so passionate about.
Yeah. Speaking of traveling out of state, you've done a couple years in a row where you just kill a monster buck in North Dakota, and it's something that you love to do early. What's the learning curve? Like, where did you accelerate it going to a state like that?
Well, there's we almost screwed up pretty hard our first year out there.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's like a weird correlation, but I spent most of my time learning how to whitetail deer hunt from podcasts, because
Yeah.
I would edit Trail Cam Radio, which turned into the Exodus podcast, and I had to listen to it all because I had to edit it.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned so much from that, and I turned that into watching a lot of hunting on YouTube. And our first year in North Dakota, we got to a particular pin that we had, and we're like, we're going to check this out. Big chunk of government land, and we spent one afternoon there, and we were like, we're just not seeing the numbers that we think we should be seeing. There's not many deer here, is what it felt like. And I just thought to Zach Fehrenbaugh, and he's like, you gotta, you have to scout until you find deer. You have to keep moving until you find deer. And I was like, we gotta drive 4 hours and go check out this other spot. We gotta pull up camp. If we would have stayed in that area, maybe we would have came into deer.
Yeah.
But forcing ourselves to go look for better deer, not better deer, but better numbers. 'Cause we're there
Mm-hmm.
for 4 or 5 days. We can't just try to hunt one or two deer.
Right.
And we just landed in a spot that had good numbers, and had a lot of bucks, and the terrain just laid out perfectly. And I think we got pretty lucky, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that you learn from listening to all those people, but then you mentioned something like the train laid out perfectly, the numbers were better, you had the gumption to go and drive a little further to find the numbers, because it's easy to kind of get complacent and just say, well, I saw like 2 or 3 does over here and there's some stuff over here, so this is good enough. And especially if you're out of state, it really should never be good enough
Yeah.
until you find the honey hole. And I think that's you weren't you're kind of like a relatively newish bow. Oh, I guess I shouldn't say newish bow hunter anymore, because it's been what, like 12, 13 years or something like that, where you
No,
really picked up a bow.
it's only 8. I bought a bow
Yeah.
in, or 10. I bought a
Mm,
bow in 2016. My first season was 2017, so 9 years.
yeah. So, and you've been successful in North Dakota the last 3 or 4 now, right?
4 for 5, yeah.
Yeah. So my point in saying is that you found the right hand of cards, and you've kind of learned how to do it. Because like I said, it is easy. Even scouting at home, it's easy to be like, well, here's a good food source. It looks like they're kind of hitting it. And here's a good bedding ridge or whatever it is. However, whatever you're using to stack in your favor. When you find, especially like a food source, deer they don't just hit a food source. Like, they annihilate the food source, right?
Yeah.
So if it's kind of like, So I think that's something that's pretty cool and relatable, is that I think people give deer too much credit. You know what I mean? Don't you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can so easily fall into the trap of like, one thing I don't do a lot of is map scouting,
Mm-hmm.
because I think you can fall in love with the way something looks.
Mm,
And if the sign isn't there, like, it's really easy to be like, well, it looks good, they should be here. Okay, remove yourself from that. They're not here. So
mm-hmm.
go find something that there is. Like that first area, dude, the river bottom, big oak trees everywhere. It just looked like it should have a bunch of deer. And we were able to remove ourselves from like what we wanted to be there and what was actually be there. They're not here, so we got to keep moving.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to fall into that at home because you feel like you have more time. Like,
Yeah.
you could say, well, they might not be here right now. And at home, that's okay. Let me hang a camera and I'm going to keep moving around. And then you look back and you're like, oh, I hung that camera. You go check it, and there was nothing there. It's like there was no sign. What do you like? Do you think deer are just going to magically appear?
Yeah.
Um, if the sign isn't there, just because the terrain and everything lays out, something's not right about it, and you can't fall in love with how something looks.
Yeah. I think the other thing that, mature bucks get too much credit for is once you find that place where they are, not the place they should be, they're there for a reason. And then you think like, oh, I'm going to mess this up real bad if I do this or that. And it keeps you from taking a lot of risks and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And I think that's something that you're really good at. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think. Well, when I initially started doing that, I felt like it's because I needed to learn like what I
Mm-hmm.
could get away with and how deer would react to certain things because I didn't know.
Right.
And if I would have listened to a lot of people on those podcasts, they're like, "Oh, you spook a deer, he's 5 miles away the next day." But when you do find that core that they like to spend time, and they get away and they're like, "Oh yeah, my escape route worked," they're gonna come back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're safe there for a reason. So you gotta kind of spend more time there. And I think the best way you're gonna learn to do something is to do something you probably feel like you might not and see how it goes. If you
Yeah.
screw it up, there's gonna be other opportunities. But I definitely err way more on the aggressive side than caution, especially
Yeah.
out of state when you got 4 days.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned that you don't do a lot of map scouting, but I know that you are a heavy map user. So
Uh-huh.
how do you pick a spot first? And then when you pick the spot, what are you looking for on your, I would assume you're using OnX still.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
So
you look for?
when that year, I guess it's somewhat area dependent, somewhat terrain dependent, like what I expect to be out there. But that year, for example, I'll just use that
Yeah,
first year.
tell some stories. It's fine.
Um, it was a drought that year,
Mm-hmm.
so I was very focused on water, finding water sources, and that's why we chose that river at first. But all my other pins around the map are like just areas that had a lot of water and had a lot of access. So I didn't want to be in a spot where like, okay, this one piece looks really, really good, but the next piece that looks decent is 2 hours away. I wanted to have a lot of options. So I just found a lot of access and a lot of water. And then getting out there, you kind of learned for next year and next year and next year what you actually need to be keying in on like what types of cover they like, what's the crop rotation, what sort of things you need to be looking for there. But um it always starts with access. It always starts with like having a bunch of options and having a lot of things to check off. Go check this piece quick. I can go check this piece quick.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think that backfires because other people are doing that same thing. So you're going to run into more people. But a lot of times, if you're in an area where there's a lot of people, that typically means there's a lot of deer, or they wouldn't be spending
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time there. So yeah, that's kind of the first couple steps and why I use a map and how I use a map. So I'm just trying to find areas that I think I can go check out, and that usually results in a lot of pins on the map that get removed because you just check them off like, okay, not here, not here, not here. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a really easy way to narrow it down.
Yeah, agreed. Um, when I am doing the checking spots like that, I usually don't delete the waypoints. I turn them a different color because then I'll be like, oh, this spot looks good, and I'll remark it and be like, oh,
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah. But um, when you're getting, do you ever do a little bit of scouting out of state, or do you just always are you always freelancing?
Um, I It's a mixture. Like if I go to North Dakota, it's so far away that we will take a trip 3 or 4 weeks before season and just hang a bunch of cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in Iowa, I have been trying to build back up my Iowa points, and every spring I go back out there and scout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a lover at Iowa.
Yeah.
I'm going next year, so you know we'll get to live vicariously. You when are you drawing for Iowa?
I should find out any day. Today's the
Oh, cool.
17th. It usually comes between like the 10th and the 18th, I think.
Yeah,
The application deadline was the 7th.
yeah.
So it's got to be, I mean, I have my application open on my other screen over here, and I keep refreshing it every once in a while just to see, like, any
So
day
we
it's
might
not a hit.
we might find out on this podcast if Cameron's going to Iowa. Are you going to the same unit?
Yes. Yeah.
Very
Yes, I
cool.
am.
Very cool. That's a good area. So if you are, so you said you're going out, maybe you go out maybe 3 or 4 weeks before the season opens for Dakota, and I know that you go out to Iowa every spring, and I'm sure you hang cameras there from time to time. So what's your the big reason I had you on, one of the top things I wanted to talk to you about was your camera strategy. You worked for Exodus for a long time. You learned a lot from those guys, but you also kind of like refined your own thing within cameras. So what are you doing? What are you doing to kind of capture the idea of, and maybe I'm even saying this wrong. I want to backtrack a little bit. Are you trying to capture summer activity first, or are you trying to capture summer activity that goes into fall activity, or are you strictly looking for, I'm going to hang the cameras here so I know what's happening when I want to go hunt?
So, it's time it's like around the time that I'm gonna be out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the in North Dakota, it's always early season, so it is summer stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
targeting water, food sources, travel from cover to those destination food sources. In some areas that we have access to in North Dakota, you can bait, so you can get some inventory that way. We'll
Mm-hmm.
go out there 3 or 4 weeks before and drop a salt block or something in an area that historically we've seen deer and just see what deer are around.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's not how I'm using them to hunt. Not how using cameras to hunt out there. Actually, most of the strategy for the early season trail cameras is mostly inventory, and then when we get out there, it's a lot of glass. It's a lot of driving and trying to figure them out. The thing that you learn working for a trail camera company is a camera is showing you 45 degrees in
Yep.
one direction,
Yep.
and you can't see everything that's going on. So it's mostly an inventory for North Dakota. For Iowa, this last couple years, it's been hang cameras on rut sign
Mm-hmm.
and figure out when deer are frequenting certain areas, not a specific deer, just deer in general.
Mm-hmm.
Scrapes, funnels, uh, things like that, just where there's a lot of rut sign. That's
Mm-hmm.
been the Iowa trail camera strategy. And I learned a bunch from that the first year I hunted it. It was a kind of an eye-opening thing. I went out there solely the first time based on weather. It's like, oh, the first cold front that hits, I'm out there, you know. I had cameras out there. I had a spring before of scouting. I had a rut before of trail camera images, but I was like, I'm gonna hit that first cold front. October 25th or 26th or something it came in.
Mm-hmm.
Weather was phenomenal. There was still deer moving into Iowa, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
there's bucks. But it got hot 4 days into the trip, and I mean it was like 85 degrees on Halloween. And I went
Mm-hmm.
home. I was like, I'll come back when it gets a little better. And my cameras just lit
I
up.
remember this now. Yeah.
They just lit up. And I had like some really big deer daylighting November 1st through the 6th. When like duh, you know. But
Right.
the weather was so bad, and like not to use names to do this, but it'll get my point. We always did that trail camera study with Steve Shirk every year, where he runs hundreds of cameras and correlates weather data
Right.
with daylight images.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Shirk's data would tell you you shouldn't be there
Right.
during that time. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go home, spend some time with Kayla, make sure everything's good with home, and weather changes, I'll go back out. And I
Yeah.
should have stayed, or I should have just planned on being there during the most active times. So the last 4 years since I've hunted out there, every year I'm just putting cameras in areas and seeing when those are hot. When those areas
Mm-hmm.
are hot, I'll pay attention to what the weather is, but chances are it's going to be hot, and it has been. You know, it is shown every year within 48 hours of an area heating up. It has been historically correct.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So I guess the thing is too is like weather usually is a trumper of all things. Like you talk, everybody, what some guys are really into the moon,
Mhm.
and you're like, I guess maybe there's something to be said about the moon. There's studies on it. I don't know. I'm not. I don't. The moon confuses me, so I don't follow the moon because it's like one more thing to be like, well, my thermals, and then the moon, and then and it's like one thing that I don't care about that much. I'm not going to not go hunting because it's the wrong moon phase.
I'm with you.
So my point is usually the weather trumps everything, but sometimes the time of year and angle of light and uh the time for procreation is you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's so it's kind of like, well, the beginning of the rut and the chasing kind of trumps the weather in that aspect. And I think that's where people, I mean, yeah, it can definitely put a damper on some movement for a little bit, but in certain areas, if you get the right pocket, probably not.
Yeah, and I think it's just a different ball game. Like that's something you have to take a step back and apply certain things to your area.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in a low pressure area, it's not going to be as big of a factor.
Right.
In high pressure areas, deer are going to they're going to spend less time in the daylight than they
Mm-hmm.
are. So the days the weather is perfect is when they just can't help themselves and they have to be going. But
Right.
otherwise, I'm sure the areas of PA that Steve is doing the study are more high pressure than the areas that I'm hunting in Iowa. And they just
Yeah.
do more of their activity at night during those
Yeah.
days because it's not ideal. They're like, well, I could do this, but I'll just wait. In Iowa, and there's just a lot more bucks.
Yeah.
So they're moving around because they have more competition. So because they have to get to certain areas. So I it's like I'm kind of facing the same conundrum a little bit this year. Like last year, my cameras were really, really good in a specific area late October, but the weather was also good.
Mm.
I was like, is this because of the weather, or should I go out there early October anyway because that area was hot then?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. We'll see. I'm probably gonna go because the camera said that area was hot, and I never saw another hunter. There was a bunch of bucks, but if the weather is like really bad, I might just wait for it to get a little better because as November moves on, the hunting's still gonna be good.
Yeah, I guess it could be like a wait and see. So if you're talking about, I mean, cameras are generally like an inventory thing, and probably the best place to put a camera for inventory are scrapes. Like they
Mhm.
stand in front of it, you get an idea of what the buck looks like. But what are you using? Like, what do you really use to hone down? Uh, this is an actual spot that I should hunt, and this is what the camera's telling me. Are you using like fence crossings or things like that, like terrain features specifically to be like, I'll kill a buck in that little ditch or whatever it happens to be?
Yeah, there a lot of quote unquote funnels in those areas where the sign is there. There's a lot of activity, but it's all in correlation to cover.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a funnel way out away from cover, I'm not putting too much stock into that. But if you have some doe bedding or something close to that and there's a lot of sign in those areas, I'll put a camera there and when activity ramps up, and I'm just looking for activity. I'm not looking for a certain buck to daylight during a certain time
Mm-hmm.
in a certain place. Like if there's a bunch of does using it, bunch of young bucks using it, bigger bucks in the dark. Like I'm not. They could be walking behind the camera during the day. I've
Right.
learned like so. It's like one of the biggest. It's so easy in your head to say, "Yeah, duh, I shouldn't rely on the camera," but
Mm-hmm.
it's just as easy to fall into the trap of, "Well, they're not on my camera, so they must not be there." I can't
Right.
tell you how many times because I had access to a lot of cameras working for Exodus,
Mm-hmm.
where I would have cameras in an area and the weather would be decent, and I'd be like, "I'm just gonna go hunt it."
Mm-hmm.
And I would see deer everywhere and never got a single picture. And I was like, really at a light bulb moment to like quit relying on that one deer walking in that small window from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., like in the
Mm-hmm.
daylight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very hard thing to capture. So
Right.
I just look for deer activity to
Mm-hmm.
amplify. And I say, okay, now it's time to hunt. Now, there are times where a specific buck will do something and you'll maybe hunt it and see that he does something after he did that thing. And if you
Mm-hmm.
see that again, you're like, okay, he's most likely going to do this. So you
Mm-hmm.
can use trail cameras to do that. But they have, as time gone on, they have been less and less and less of a factor of telling me that I should start hunting. Um,
Right.
It's just more of, okay, this certain buck is in the area.
Well, I think it's actually kind of in some areas that I hunt, it's almost kind of like decreasing the hunting pressure. Like
Sure.
you'll find cameras everywhere, but nobody's hunting.
Yep.
And I think it's like, and it can be discouraging when you don't get deer on your camera, and it can be like a mental block. You can be like, I'm not really getting that much here. And just like you said, well, I wasn't seeing deer, and then I see deer everywhere and didn't even get a picture, you know? Are you seeing that pretty often?
Yes, so much. And everyone that I like, my core friends around home, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not going tonight, nothing on camera." I'm like, guys, you gotta get out of that mindset. Like,
Yeah.
they're there, I promise you. Um, it happened with turkeys this year. One of my buddies wasn't getting pictures in this food plot of turkeys. Like, they got it. He said, every year they're there, they gotta be there. And one evening, I was like, let's just go. Let's just go hunt out there. We walk in the woods, call, he gobbles, comes in, he kills him. Never got a picture of him. I was like, he
Yeah.
walked right down the lane that you have a camera and you didn't get a picture of him. You gotta get out of that mindset of if they're not on camera, they're not there, because it's just not true. You have to
Yeah.
trust your gut. You have to trust your um all the scouting that you did to put that camera in that spot led you to believe that there were going to be deer there. You don't necessarily need that camera to tell you they are. Everything
Yeah.
else already told you that they're there.
Well, and I'd say the same thing back is like, hey, if you're talking about hunting Iowa in early October because you've learned some things, and I would say the same thing. Like you have a reason for why they should be there, and
Yeah.
it would be a good idea to go schwack them, But
Yeah.
um, what are some things that you've learned about trail cameras that you think now are just completely false?
Hmm. Um, I think people think they're more reliable than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think a lot of stuff gets missed. Um, I this is take it or leave it, but um, we were spoiled with what we had at Exodus. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
cameras were pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
and going to other brands, I'm like, man, I really miss the reliability of what we had.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's something. I think um, the way people hang cameras, like all the education and stuff that we did to try to get people to get more out of their cameras, like um, using cameras on certain trails. Like, you can see if there's a trail coming directly at you, a lot of people have a camera on that trail, facing that trail, and
Mm-hmm.
the movement is coming head on. That's a really bad way to use cameras. It makes sense. Like, you have this trail. I'm going to try to get everything coming down the trail, and if you have the camera facing down it, you think you have more time to capture them. But
Right.
just the way PIR sensors work, it's not a good way to hang them. You want
Right.
your camera angle to be perpendicular or at some sort of an angle.
Right.
That's a mistake I see all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe I'm just too close to it, but I think they just get overcomplicated. Like, they're a pretty simple tool to use. I think people put too much stock into it. I think that's really it. I think the biggest mistake people make with trail cameras is relying too much on it.
Bird Dog Custom Woodwork. Premium materials made from wood with a whole lot of care and patience. Check them out on Instagram at Bird Dog Custom Woodwork. They make some awesome things for your home that will turn into heirlooms one day. And they're doing some pretty cool stuff in the hunting space as far as making tail fan plaques, but anything you can really think of, cutting boards, tables, cabinets, all the things. Check them out. Thanks a lot. What can you tell people about hanging cameras this time of year if they're just like, I mean, it's that, of course, it's always going to end up relating to hunting and inventory and that kind of thing. But one of my favorite things with a trail camera is getting pictures of velvet bucks, just because I like to see pictures of velvet bucks. They're really cool. They look ginormous every time. They can be like 100-inch deer, and you're like, holy crap,
Yeah. Yeah.
But what can you tell people about catching some velvet pictures and taking a really good one?
Yeah, the lighting, like, you can get some deer in some very pretty settings in
Mm-hmm.
the summer.
Yeah.
You can get some really cool, like, sunset images. But it is also the time of, like, false triggers and growth, green up
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be
Mm-hmm.
very cautious of. I just took a trip at home. I went out and fixed a couple cameras because I had them up there in the spring, and then they just had been encompassed by green. So I
Yeah.
just always take permethrin with you, and always take like shears to
Yeah.
clip off growth because it's the time of ants. I said it's 'tis the season for ants, false triggers, and velvet bucks. But that's the time that we're in. But I'm a big I'm the same way. Like I almost want my inventory photos to come in bean fields this time of year because the settings are so pretty. But
Yeah.
I'll almost always face my cameras like a little bit angled higher, always
Mm-hmm.
higher,
Mm-hmm.
angled down a little bit, like out of the deer's sight. But I'm
Yeah.
always aiming to get some sort of sunset in the back.
Yeah.
Um, you want to try to avoid putting your cameras in it facing areas where the sun is going to be throughout the day because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get a ton of false triggers
Yeah.
because PIR sensor is passive infrared, um, which is just detecting heat. It's not actually detection motion. So it's
Okay.
detecting the change of heat. So if the sun is here in your image and then the sun is here in your image, or you have a shadow across a portion of the screen and that shadow goes away, it senses a change and it takes a picture.
Right.
So that always pay attention to some of that stuff. But if you're in an ag location, beans. If you're in hill country, they're going to be on some sort of food source.
Mm-hmm.
Green most of the time a green food source like green briars, or
Yeah.
if your mast starts dropping early in September, white oak acorns. But it's all food at that time of year. It's all about food.
Right. Um, I was gonna ask you something that I remember you telling me before, but now I forget what it was. Um, can you tell me a time where tell me a story where a trail camera really played a large role in helping you kill a good buck?
Okay. This year's a good example of that. I killed
Yeah.
a deer on Halloween, but I had a camera on a scrape late October. I hung it October 18th, I think. I actually hung it a little late, but I was just kind of boots on the ground scouting and looking for scrapes to hang cameras on. I found a scrape, put a camera on it on the edge of a swamp. And it what the camera taught me was that like I was putting too much stock in the swamp, and there was some other bedding opportunity that I wasn't paying attention to. But
Mm-hmm.
um, October 20th, I got the first picture of that deer at 8 a.m. In the daylight. I was like, wow, he's close, and it's 160s caliber deer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I waited for the weather to be right. He did it again one more time. I waited for the weather to be right, hunted that scrape, anticipating some sort of movement because the camera only told me that he was in front of the camera. That's
Right.
it. It didn't
Right.
tell me which direction he left. It didn't tell me which direction he came in. You might think it did,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot tell what direction a deer is moving from a trail camera picture.
Mm-hmm.
Videos will tell you a little bit different, but still, if it's on video mode and you see him walk this way, he also could have just turned and circled and went somewhere else.
Right.
So that's one thing. Like you cannot tell what direction a deer is going from a trail camera. So that taught me it was a pretty hard lesson to learn. I
Yeah.
got it set up, anticipating him having a certain movement. He came directly downwind of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I never saw him. Heard him walk in. Um, he busted me. I never got a single picture of him on that camera again. Um, but that I ended up killing him on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing the direction he was coming from, I just moved my setup. He wasn't going to that scrape anymore, but he was still coming from that bedding area to
Right.
check the doe bedding. So
Right.
I backdoored, entered an entirely different way. Um, Still anticipated his movement, got set up, rattled, and he came in from that direction and killed him. But it was kind of the lesson in that was I thought the camera told me which way he was entering, and I
Mm-hmm.
was completely off.
Yeah. And that's all kind of like trial and error. It's kind of like what we talked about in the beginning too, about giving bucks a little too much credit. Like that deer stayed. He just was smart enough to not use that scrape again.
Yeah, and who knows if I mean, he was on that day was October 26th or something, and
Right.
then from October 26th to October 31st, I didn't get another picture of him because I
Right.
killed him on
Right.
October 31st.
Right.
November 3rd, he might have came back,
Right. Sure.
or he might have been coming downwind of that scrape from the 26th to the 31st, and I just didn't get a picture of him.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Makes sense. So last year you killed a giant in North Dakota. Was that was that in relation to the scouting that you've spent there, the time that you've already spent in that area, or was that something else that you had to readjust? And I'm selfishly asking you these questions because I only got bits and pieces of the story because we were gonna podcast it sometime in November and we didn't get to, but we're here now. So
yeah. Um, this was it was an interesting thing because it's been 5 years since I killed my biggest North Dakota deer,
mm-hmm.
and it has taken that long to get the crop rotations the same.
Okay.
Um, so the crop rotations were the same as they were in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So I hunted as if I was back in 2019. Like I used what I learned in 2019 and applied it to this because the crop rotation was the same, and that's kind of what
Mm-hmm.
led to us targeting that certain area.
Mm-hmm.
It was I mean, when it's like this, it's an absolute dynamite setup. It's
Yeah.
standing corn coming up to the edge of beans, and there's a little strip of like sagebrush
Mm-hmm.
that separates the two fields, and then there's this big draw that goes down to the bottom of a cattail slough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what we've learned from 22, like 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, they're bedding in cattails.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in cattails, that's where they're at. They will walk through timber to get to cattails.
Okay.
I thought in this session, in this section, that they were not doing that. I thought they were in the timber coming
Mm-hmm.
up from there's not really timber, but it's just like brushy draw with a lot of
Yeah.
cover. Something you'd see a mule deer bedded in.
Right.
Um, but the cattails at the bottom, they're bypassing that. And we watched
Mm-hmm.
them with glass a couple days, just like walk through what we thought they were spending time in and popping out the bottom to bed. And I was like, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
that tells you a little bit about how you have to set up. Um,
Yeah.
but it's just a dynamite setup. They're going to come up that, use the edge of the corn as cover and enter the bean field in the lowest spot of it. And it's when you have that set up, it's going to happen. But it was just from trial and error, really, that we
Yeah.
saw that happen a bunch the year I shot the big one and hung cameras back there in July. And sure enough, they're using the same corner, the same bean field, and just waited for the wind to be right and got in there and capitalized.
Yeah. It's such a cool. I love hearing your stories from out west, and I love hearing your stories from home because you've made some real special in the short time you've been a bow hunter. I shouldn't say short. I shouldn't because when we met it was shorter, but now it's you're experienced, but it's you've made some real cool stories, and I love them. What's something that you really love about besides the hunting portion of it? What's something that you love about hunting out of state, whether it's the hanging out with Trey or glassing from the truck, or maybe it's the ham and cheese you ate when you got done the hunt? What is it?
Yeah, I think a lot of the draw to the out of state hunts, especially early season, is like the camp life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can only hunt for like 3 hours, and the
Yeah.
whole rest of the day you're spending time just like cutting it up, scouting or doing whatever, but you're not really taking anything serious
Yeah.
until 6 p.m. hits. You're like, okay, now it's time to go.
Yeah.
And you come home, talk about what you did, and the next morning you're up, just spending a lot of time in the truck, driving around, seeing just the most amazing views and sights. And that's really, I tend to hunt open areas when I travel. Like I'm
Yeah.
drawn to prairie, ag, just areas where I can see a ton because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, there's a certain experience I want to have when I go out of state, and I have the luxury of chasing that experience because, like, I'm traveling, I can go anywhere I want.
Mm-hmm.
At home, you're just gonna hunt what's here.
Right.
You can't have that like experience that you're after. You're stuck with
Yeah.
the experience that's in front of you. So that's really the big draw. But I want to experience new things. Like I want to go new places and hunt new things, but I found a couple areas that I've just really fallen in love with, and I have a hard time not going back to that because I don't want to have a different experience. I keep having the experience I want. It's like just kind of stay here, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you could come out with your good old buddy Aaron Hepler, and we'll see some deer, but we'll catch some fish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, we joke about that all the time. Like I don't want to drive 4.5 hours east
Yeah.
to hunt the same state that I can drive 20 minutes and hunt.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Um.
as I get older, I will say it's way more about everything else.
Yeah.
Um, Early on in my hunting career, was like say I'm still early-ish in it, but like early on, it was so much about just killing deer because I
Uh-huh.
was trying to learn and figure it out. Not to say I have it all figured out, but now I'm like, okay, I think what my dad fell in love with wasn't necessarily all the killing and
Yeah.
hunting. It
Right.
was more about like getting to do it with other people. I will say Iowa is my favorite state in the country,
Uh-huh.
but my Iowa hunt was solo,
Uh-huh.
and it was not. I did not like it. Did not hold a candle to any hunt that I've done with someone.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes the hunting and the experience is different. Like you might have that time where it's just like, wow, that was an amazing hunting experience. Like just the hunt was amazing itself. Maybe the place wasn't that great or whatever it was, but there's something to be said for having both.
Yeah,
And that's one of the nice things about like taking vacation. That's why people take vacation, so you can have both. But it's definitely, I don't know what I would tell younger Aaron because I feel the same way. Like I like the camp. I like hanging out with buddies at camp, and I like being in a tree by myself too. And I like experiencing the woods and hearing things and seeing deer and watching what they do and making my own shot when it can, when it's time to or whatever. But I there I don't know how I would tell Aaron Hepler a while ago, like, you'll always care about big bucks to some extent. Like I want to put myself in the position to kill the biggest buck I can find, but I'm not going to care as much about it as I care about just, and how I want to try everything now. Like I'm bow fishing now. Like I do that stuff now. I'd never saltwater fished, and now I have a buddy that has a boat that likes to saltwater fish, and I'm trying that out. And I got a new bird dog, and now I'm going to go hunt other things out of state with the dog. And, I think that's all kind of like part of it and real cool.
I agree 100%. I think my interests haven't like expanded
Yeah.
with wanting to try other types of hunting because I fear, and this is another thing with elk hunting, I fear that if I do get the bug, it's going to take away from how I feel about whitetails.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen it happen to people like
It
Chad.
probably will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I've seen it happen to people where they lose a little bit of what they had for whitetails, and it's like, well, that's what I have access to the most, so I don't want to
Hmm.
ruin that by
Yeah.
trying something else that's so epic, which I do want to try it, but I'm scared that it's going to be like I'm all in on that now, but I
Yeah.
never get to go do it.
Dead on Display Euro mounting system, by far the best Euro mounting hanger on the market. I have all my mounts on them, including an elk skull, and it holds that thing to the wall solid. I do also like the angle bracket for the whitetails. It gives them a real nice look, and it helps preserve one of your memories for a lifetime. So check them out, deadondisplay.com. You can find them on Instagram as well. Yeah. I think the one thing that I've become is I'm like all in on the thing when I'm doing the thing. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like when deer season gets, like right now, I'm like, yeah, whitetail's cool. I love whitetail hunting, man. Like I'm ate up by, me. That's all
Yeah.
I talk about. That's all I talk about. But right now it's fishing season. You know what I mean? And like, and I think that can be fine. I think what you do have to do if you're that type of person, and this is something that I have to tame myself in, I still have to put in whitetail work now.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't hung cameras yet. I'm probably going to go out in the next week or two. I don't, I used to hang my cameras in like early June, and then I found that I was like not really able to recognize bucks yet
Yeah.
because, like they're just after sometime in the first week of July, you start to recognize them. And then towards the end of July, you're like, oh, this buck. And then it was getting me more battery life, hanging them a little later anyway, that kind of thing. So I still have to go put in time to scout in the summertime to make sure, like, hey, how's the hunting pressure look up here? Was it bad last year? Am I seeing a lot of cameras that people are putting out in the summer? Uh, what food sources are changing? Are the deer hitting things differently? You know, even around my own house, you're like, well, last year, like this stuff all died when it was drought, but now this year it's like super lush and I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that I have to like, I'm going to have to take a day or two and do some summer scouting. Then I'm going to have to take a day or two a little bit later and put some work into it if I want to have a good whitetail season.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I can't do the rest of the stuff. I just have to prioritize time to do everything. And it's pretty possible. Like you're probably not as busy as you think all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely true. I think that's why I kind of turkeys. I'm that way with turkeys. Like I'm all in on turkeys when it's
Mm-hmm.
turkey season,
Right.
but it doesn't affect anything with deer because it's in a whole nother time of year. If
Right.
I were to get like crazy into waterfowl hunting, like I feel like I couldn't do both. I
Right.
feel like I would either be I would be jeopardizing too much of what it takes for me to have the experience I want in whitetails
Yeah.
if I spent the free time that I had waterfowl hunting. Because I
Right.
don't want to just go waterfowl hunt. I want to understand it and do it and know why I'm making what call. Like that's just the kind of person I am. So I haven't done it because I don't want to have too many hobbies at the same time frame because I'm just the type of person that will freak out and
Yeah.
go all in. I can't like just go 50%.
Yeah.
That's I'm envious of people that have that. Like Clint Campbell has jujitsu to kind of like
Yeah.
reset him
Yeah.
and um kind of like it gives you something else to love so you don't hurt your love for whitetails, if that makes sense. Like
Oh yeah,
people get
absolutely.
so passionate and so like want something so bad that it almost like puts too much pressure on it and then you end up having a weird relationship with it and he can reset himself in the
Uh-huh.
gym. um like people that really love to go fishing can spend their summer fishing. They're like, okay, I'm reset.
Yeah.
I put my cameras out in early June because I'm chomping at the bit because I just a whitetail freak, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't have it in me to say, well, I can't recognize them, so it's not doing me anything. But I'm like, they're growing. I gotta get cameras out there.
Yeah. 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 I hear that. I hear that. And I don't think it's like a never. Like I'm doing so much fishing right now and I love to fish. And I'm doing a lot of training with the bird dog. That's actually a really good thing that what you said about just having something to reset yourself. What like something like waterfowl hunting can be pretty involved. Like you need to scout for good spots for waterfowl, and then you need to learn how to get there before somebody else gets there, and you need to have all the decoys and the gear and learn how to call. And it is super fun and super addicting, and it's all the right things you need to have a really good hunt. Like
Yeah.
a lot of fun. But the problem is it does take away a lot of time. So what I've like what and I love having a hunting dog. So I have this little dog. He's 35 pounds and he's like going on 80 pounds because he's so jacked from running and pointing, all the things. But he's two and doing all the training during the summer and then taking him out in the fall is super rewarding, and it is a really good reset from deer, but it doesn't take away a lot of deer for me. Like those like not really great weather days for deer where you're like, or the wind's wrong, or like I need to just not wake up early today. I take the
Yeah.
dog out instead. Like,
Uh-huh.
well, I don't feel like waking up before light, but I'll get up at 8, or I'll get up at 7 and then I'll take the dog out hunting at 8 and we'll hunt till 10 and then I'll hunt this evening. Um, that's because it's like really no pressure. Like I'm just taking the dog for a walk, whether it's woodcock or, maybe I'm hunting in the mountain for grouse, or I can, there's a a place not far from me that's, a couple thousand acres that they put pheasants out that's really good. And it's like, I don't have any, I just get my shotgun, my hunting vest, put the dog in the car, have some water, and go for a walk.
Sure.
And I end up learning, like, it's a nice reset from deer because I'm not just like, I'm taking my mind off the deer and coming back to it. But then I end up learning stuff about deer when I go to some of those places. Like, I've been to a really, really heavy pressured place hunting with the dog 2 years ago and saw a 115, 120 inch buck working a field edge in a, like I said, a very high hunting pressure area, working a field edge at 9:30 in the morning on, like, it was like maybe November 3rd or something like that. I don't remember what day it was per se, but it was the rut. But still, you wouldn't expect that, like on a
Yeah.
field edge.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that I think are important. But what are you doing to if you don't have something else to kind of take your mind off of it, how are you dealing with the frustrations and that type of thing?
Um, in season, it's having someone to talk to that's like super positive, that isn't gonna like just keep pouring gas on the fire and bringing you down more. You just have to have someone that you can talk to kind of reset.
Yeah.
Trey, like hunting with Trey is great because we can we're both very, very serious about it.
Yeah.
But we can also sense when the other person is like pushing themselves too much or putting too much pressure, and we can kind of reset one another. That helps a bunch. I know Chad and Clint have that. Like when they hunt together, they are not going to let the other one get sucked into a never-ending rabbit hole of defeat.
Yeah.
Um, but outside, like now, for me, it's sprint car racing.
Yeah.
I'm a sprint car fan. And it's a good hobby because they race at 6 p.m. So if I have any deer hunting things that I need to get done, I can go do them
Yeah.
and then come home and kind of stop thinking about it because I'm
Hmm.
into this other thing.
Yeah.
For a while, I was doing like some photography with it to like
Oh,
give me
cool.
another like reason to do it. But
Right.
yeah, in season, it's just all whitetails, but I have to find an avenue to reset myself, and it's just a buddy. You know what I mean? It's just having someone that you can call that they can tell you that, like, dude, it's not that serious, or why don't you try this, or um, just crack a joke at the right time, and you're like, what am I doing? I'm like,
Yeah.
freak, it's a white-tailed deer. Like I'm
Yeah.
not. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Trey's definitely a good person for that. You pretty much have to say his name and it makes me chuckle,
Yeah, yeah, because you can
he's,
just think of like goofy things that he's gonna do. You
he's
just
such a
know.
goofy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know with Trey. He's such a good dude though. I think that's the other thing too, dude, is it's one reason why I don't always go out of state because I love, I know it always sounds weird to people, but I love hunting at home. Like I love what I know. It's not that I don't like, if I go out of state, I have a blast, like
Mhm.
learning the stuff and learning something I don't know. But I also just like I said, it's that time prioritizing.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's going to be pretty good the first week in October, and I know it's going to be good the third week in October, and the fourth week in October, and then the first week in November is okay, and then the second week of November I can probably go do something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're like, well, if I'm not home, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of like stepping out of your comfort zone to learn something that you don't know, because what you don't know will teach you something that you thought you knew at home, but you didn't.
Yeah.
But it is, I think there's things that you can help manage your time. Whenever I hear people say, I don't have time to go hunting or I don't have time to go fishing, it's just the thought probably that I mean, maybe you are a really busy person. And if you are, maybe you should take some things off your plate. I don't know. You know, if it's something you really, really want to do, then you'll find a
Uh-huh.
way to do it. I think there's day-to-day things where it's like, I didn't finish that because I didn't have enough time. But like, how long were you scrolling while you were on the toilet this morning? Like, was it 15 minutes? And like, you know, how long were you in the shower after that? 15 minutes? Like you could have cut that down, and by the end of the day, maybe you saved yourself 2 hours. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. There's just things that you kind of like. Most of the time, it's scrolling and you're farting around at home. Where if you would have taken those minutes and put them somewhere else, if you would have woken up half an hour earlier, like by the end of the day, you get 2 hours, and that could have made the difference on executing something that you really wanted to do the way you wanted it to happen. What are you doing to kind of save yourself some time?
A lot of it is prioritizing and knowing the kind of person I am. Like I think when you say the words "I don't have time," um, it needs like the end of the sentence needs finished. For
Uh-huh.
me, it's I don't have time to have the experience that I want to get out of it.
Uh,
Like I do have time to go do it, but it's gonna be almost a waste of time because I'm not gonna get out of it what I would want to get out of it.
sure.
So there's just certain things that I don't do, and the reason might come out of my mouth is I don't have time, but what I mean is I don't have time to get out of it what I want out of it.
Right.
Uh, I don't want to just go waterfowl hunting to say I went waterfowl hunting. I want
Sure.
to have a certain experience. And the experience that I want for whitetails requires a lot of time.
Right.
So I have just prioritized like that's what I'm doing. But I get up early. You know what I mean? I'm an early riser.
Yeah.
I think like being sharp has a lot to do with how much rest you get.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. Like a big get my 8 hours of sleep, and then I'm going to be efficient throughout the day.
Yeah.
If I go to bed too late my next day, I'm like, man, because I still want to get up early, but I just don't have. I have the same amount of hours, but I don't have the same amount of energy or whatever it is. I'm not as sharp mentally.
Right.
Um, like throughout college and high school and stuff, my teachers were always calling my parents and they're like, he doesn't take notes or he doesn't seem like he's engaged, but I had a 4.0. It's like
Yeah.
I just retained information because I was sharp, because I prioritized getting enough rest.
Right.
That that's one thing. But yeah, I'm not the kind of guy that has a bunch of hobbies that spreads me out too thin,
Mm-hmm.
that I can't have the ability to prioritize things properly. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I have time for, and I just don't do much else.
Yeah. I like that you said that sometimes it is the sentence needs to be completed. Because if it's like I like that you said it that way, that it just needs to, maybe it's that I don't have time to have the experience that I want. Because that's just as important. Like, to say I went out of state hunting in Ohio and I was there for 2 days and it was okay. Like, that's not what I wanted out of those 2 days. So I agree with that. Like, that's a valid point. And you do kind of got to spread, like, you got a lady, you got things to do at home. Like, you have things that are important outside of your hobbies. And, some people say that hunting is a lifestyle. It's not that it's not a lifestyle, but there's other things that add into your lifestyle, like living,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
Jobs.
yeah, like if there's mold growing in your bathroom, you probably should do something about it, like,
Yeah.
but, I love all that. What do you got in the works for this fall? If
North
you don't
Dakota.
draw Iowa, you going North Dakota?
Yeah, North Dakota. I think Trey and I will do that trip until they make it like a draw or something.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. It's such a good way to start the season. You're hunting pretty visible deer, so you
Mm-hmm.
get to learn a lot. You get to see a lot. The weather's usually pretty good. Um, we've gotten to like a really small community out there where we're at, and like locals and stuff will recognize us and we'll go to the cafes and they'll like, hey, you guys are back. Or um
Nice.
one of the landowners that we hunt on, they have a short-term rental like Airbnb. We stay there every time, so like they're calling us throughout the summer to see how we're doing. Like it's kind of, we're like
Oh, that's
almost a
cool.
part of that community now, so that's always fun to look forward to. So that'll
Yeah.
be on the docket unless like elk hunting or something gets in the way, you know.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
accumulating some points for Western hunts, so I'm going to start drawing those eventually. But
Yeah.
after that, um, I am buying my PA license early enough to get doe tags. So
Nice.
I'm going to spend more time hunting in Pennsylvania this year. Um, and
What
hopefully Iowa.
what unit do you what area are you gonna get doe tags for? Do you know?
1A and 2D.
1A and 2D.
Yeah.
I
Western.
uh I hunt 2G 3A up there when I go. It's pretty awesome. Love it.
Yeah,
Love that part of PA.
the ANF is pretty nice. I don't quite go far enough east
Mm,
to get into the ANF. Just
yeah.
starts a little bit, but most of what I have access to in Western PA is private ground, and it's like I'm buying doe tags because I want to have a certain experience when I go hunt
Mm-hmm.
over there, and like my buddies that are my age, they only gun hunt, they don't bow hunt at all, and it's just deer camp. It's just like they got hot sausages on they're cooking them over a fire, and like
Yeah.
we're gonna go out there, we're gonna do a drive, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna shoot does, and like we don't have anticipation of shooting big bucks. It's like just a totally different experience. But the
Yeah.
past 2 or 3 years I went, but I didn't have a doe tag with me, and there's just like a little bit was missing, of like being able to participate in the hunt.
Yeah.
So I was like still looking for the buck,
Yeah.
and that's not what I'm there to do. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy some doe tags for that, and then yeah, hopefully Iowa and Ohio around home.
Yeah. Cool. That PA deer camp thing is a pretty special experience up there. It's just different, you know?
It is. My family used to have, um, my uncle used to own like 30 acres or something, or 20 acres, but
Mm-hmm.
all the farm around it we could hunt. And there was like the campers were permanent up there, and we had like a camp, and then he sold it in 2015 or something, or 2014 or 2015.
Mm.
And the experience up there just has not been the same. It's
Yeah.
like you'll still go hunt the encompassing farm,
Mm-hmm.
but that going back to camp thing is missing.
Yeah.
And the last couple years, you could just see less and less and less people going up there because
Yeah.
they're not having the experience that they're used to or that they want out of it. So I'm glad some of my friends that are just gun hunters are wanting to have that experience too, so I can share that with them,
Yeah.
um, rather than like my uncle and my dad and stuff. But I'm
Yeah.
still getting some deer camp in me.
Yeah, for sure. I know whenever I go up there, like this year, I think there was only, I guess we did have more buck tags in camp this year than we did last year, but I think only half the people had buck tags and nobody cared, man. We were like, if it's brown, it's like
Essentially, yeah.
load the pole up, man, and it's so fun. And when you get like, when you have people like, bringing deer back and hanging them on the pole and everybody's jacked up, and it just makes for some fun nights and fun stories. And then I don't know. It's definitely cool. And the last 2 years, there's been snow for rifle
Yeah.
season.
Yep. It's
And
been
like, I've never really hunted, maybe like flurries or something, but never hunted like, I mean, it's been like track a deer snow,
yeah.
kind of snow, and I don't know, it's cool. But
There's so much nostalgia that comes with that.
yeah,
And it's just fun. I think working for an optics company now, I'm like more interested in rifle hunting too,
yeah,
because I have access to optics that I want to use and stuff. And um, but it's almost like in the core of our content creation days, not us, but like the industry that
yeah,
we were in, the small niche part of the industry that we were in, that was
yeah,
bow hunting.
yeah,
Rifle hunting is kind of looked down on.
yeah.
It's kind of like that's not as cool. It's just not as hard, and it's like it's not. But you shouldn't be look like it's not the same experience.
No, it's not. And it can, it, it's harder than people think,
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Like executing a shot at 40 yards on a deer with a rifle is definitely easier than shooting one with a bow at 40 yards, like
yeah,
hands down. But you get into that experience of like, you you could track a deer down with a bow in the snow and shoot it you're going to have a really hard time doing that because it's already hard. It's hard to do that with a rifle. And then you're talking about like, knowing your weapon and your efficiency and how, like, I tried to take a shot at like 350 this year at a doe. I didn't even come close. It's like, and, I've shot deer at like 230 or whatever, but never that far. And it's like, it's those kind of things. And then it goes as far as like, I've been hunting with my buddy Rich. We hunt coyote, we hunt coyotes, and he's real ate up with it. And the thermal imaging that you can use, the scopes that you can use at night, and all the optics that go into that. And he did a lot of 3-gun shooting, so all the stuff that he tinkers with, like ammo loads and different suppressors and all that kind of stuff, it's really just kind of a whole nother world that's outside that niche that you talked about, and it is very cool and still pretty unique and useful,
Yeah, 100%.
But dude, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm glad I got to have you on because I miss your face. Where can people find you at?
Yeah, Cam the Cameraman on Instagram. If you want to check out some of the Hawk stuff, the Hawk Optics USA on Facebook and Instagram. Hawk's a global optics manufacturer, so if you are interested in like to see more about how hunters are doing things around the world, it kind of opened my eyes. Hawk Sport Optics on Instagram is going to kind of give you the whole picture of what we have going on. So
cool.
Yeah,
very cool, dude. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to hear me and Cameron chop it up, talk about trail cameras, talk about deer, catch up a little bit, have some fun. Again, if you would check out Cameron in the links in the show notes. He works for Hawk with an E Optics. So check out Hawk Optics. I'll put a link in the show notes to acknowledge them and to acknowledge Cameron. If you would leave the show a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen, I really appreciate it so much because it helps get it across the audiences and where it needs to be. I can't say thank you enough. Thanks for listening week after week. Keep coming back. This is InCamp Podcast.